The dollar experiencing big up moves, the stock market experiencing big down moves, and Bitcoin also having a big up move as well. Correlation experts, please explain this one. It's not supposed to work like that, right? Right? Well, of course, at the end of the day, correlations are just that, correlations. As always, best to be looking at the asset at hand, at least in my experience, if you're going to be trading that one, rather than trying to do some voodoo magic across all other asset classes that may or may not have some mathematical relationship to it. So, with that said, today's video is going to be focused a little bit on that, and then we'll address a few other things on the higher term timeframes for Bitcoin, swing back down into the relatively low term timeframes, kind of the situation at hand for maybe the next couple days. And other than that, I want to book you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Thursday morning, and I have to always reference my my calendar here. It's the 26th, okay? That's the one that matters, right? All right, let's just jump right into it, starting off right over here. First things first, I do want to show that, yes, indeed, traditional markets do seem to be breaking down here, which is, which is interesting, seeing that Bitcoin is having big moves to the upside. And in this case, we typically have seen strong correlation between the tech sector and Bitcoin specifically. But I think that this is, I think that this is, well, obviously switching around. And more importantly, we do see a new relationship, maybe a more important relationship starting to be born here. So first things first, this is a chart of NASDAQ futures. If we put on a Bitcoin chart in the background represented by the orange color, you can see that, yes, definitely as of recent, there has been a negative correlation. We can mathematically prove that by putting on a correlation coefficient down here, as you can see, and then also the we do see an R squared adapted regression here as well. So on the daily, we can see that, yeah, there is a pretty strong negative correlation, starting within the last couple weeks now. It is getting actually very, very negatively correlated here at almost negative or past negative spot 7, which is strong negative correlation. But there's actually a more interesting relationship that Bitcoin is experiencing, not with regards to the major bourses of traditional markets, but actually, and in fact, one of the most one of the funniest ones to me, because this was like the big meme of last cycle, is if we go over here and we check out the BKX ticker, which is essentially the bank's index, we can see that Bitcoin has had a pretty strong negative correlation to the bank index. Just generally speaking, over the last, I would say, over the last 6 months, it's been generally negative, except for a small spike over here. But this one even more negatively correlated and has, generally speaking, been maintaining a stronger negative correlation over a longer period of time, as you can see, again, going back to, kind of around the beginning of this year when those bank failures happened in March. So it does seem that Bitcoin is playing more or less hand in hand opposite of something like this, especially on the extremes. We can see a more than negative spot 8%, or spot 80 negative correlation here. So that is very, 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 very strong. And in this case, we do have a somewhat interesting situation going on right now, right? Especially in the U.S., in the sense that the Fed is considering maybe raising rates one more time, and the bank index looks like this, which I think if they raise them again, that's gonna really hurt. Actually, that's gonna probably really hurt. And you can see that Bitcoin on the other side seems to be benefiting from that. So are we seeing a flight to quality, a flight to safety? Are we seeing Bitcoin emerge as that? Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, does it actually matter? Well, Bitcoin, would it matter if Bitcoin was, going up just a little bit and this was coming down? I mean, not that much, but this is like the old gold bug thing, right? Anyways, my point is that we do see that as a narrative probably emerging from here, or at least it kind of has been, throughout this year. And I think that that's probably going to get stronger. The problem with this is right now, however, is that bank index is probably getting ready for a bit of a short-term bounce. So, that would kind of imply that Bitcoin, if the negative correlation continues, would experience a bit of a pullback, which, we have been talking about on this channel as not necessarily a pullback, but Bitcoin creating a bit of a short-term range between about 33.5 to 35,000 bucks, which thus far has been holding for the past few days after its big bad breakout. So, just wanted to address that really, really quickly. It's not necessarily NASDAQ or SPY that you want to be looking at. It's probably the bank sector that you want to be looking at. That's the one that's a lot more strongly negatively correlated, and kind of plays better hand in hand with that narrative that short the banks, buy Bitcoin. It's like, fucking hate that one because it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Oh my God. Did you not think about that one for fucking 1 second before you even said it? For the love of God. But I digress. We'll go deeper into this one now. All right, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can get into some more fun stuff over here. So I do want to first start off with Bitcoin daily statistics. We do see that Thursday is again the least bullish a day for the full history of Bitcoin, closing only 37.5% positively on Thursdays, again throughout the full history of Bitcoin, with an average negative return of 1.85. In the case that we have seen positive closures, the average return has actually been 2.46%. And, Bitcoin kind of just doing the same thing that we spoke about over the past few days here, that, hey, yeah, this rally does look real. Likely over the long term, it probably does continue. But in the short term, it's probably found a nice short-term high around $35,000 and probably going to play a little bit of sideways and down from there. And that's completely fine. So with that in mind, we can go over here to our next statistically imposed page, and we can reference the HPDR bands yet again. Again, this one will be coming out. We're actually thinking now probably around the second-ish week of November. Just have to, rearrange a few things in the background. There's been a few things going on with the business, so I do need to take care of that first, and then we can get to listing this. And actually, you're going to see you're actually going to see this one come out as well, probably sooner than that, just because it's going to be hosted in a different way and blah blah blah. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, just for the for those questions I've been getting. So yeah, coming back to this chart right here, we can see the HPDR bands, did have that 95% of historic returns range highs, pretty much around where those wick highs of the rally have been at thus far, just above $35,000. I do want to take a moment to note that yes, the ranges are stepping up here, as you would expect after a $5,000 plus rally. It's kind of you kind of expect that, right? But again, oscillating between this region as a high at like 35.5, let's say, which is where it is currently at now, and in the top side of the 80% of historic returns range highs, which is 32,600, also stepped up. Is going to be long-term bullish for Bitcoin. So anywhere between there, good. Actually, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to uncircle that one, and I'm just going to circle this whole area right here. Any consolidation between here is good. I suspect that happens over the next few days. Maybe we see one more traffic continuation, but ultimately, this is the first week of a 6-month-long, basically, consolidation. It's like, give it some fucking time, for the love of God. Like, I see these things across social media, Discord, Twitter, whatever the fuck, where people are like, why isn't it continuing? Why isn't it going? It's like, dude, holy shit, man. I know that we've been starved for price action, but hey, price went up like $6,000, $7,000 this week. Relax, okay? It's all good. Doesn't need to go up fucking $20 billion in one dildo. Again, 6 months long consolidation basically between March and resolved over here in October. Is that 6 months? It's actually more than 6 months, ain't it? Almost 7 months. 1 week of explosion is probably not going to be the totality of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm going on a limb here. Crazy shit. Again, this is all mediated by the statement that, hey, Bitcoin must remain above about 32,500. As long as it's above there, long-term bullish. Below there, it's a twap. But fair enough. For the short term, still a bit of sideways and down most likely here. We can go ahead and reference stochastic momentum, and then we can reference yet another thing that I think is, again, going to be rather interesting because it is happening tonight, but the 2-day time frame remains with its upside curvature as long as Bitcoin's above 31,100. Daily time frame is getting, it's getting up there for sure, to the highest levels that we've seen in quite some time, but 34,000 to be the current pivot as volatility does get towards, extremes here, should be noted. I should also note that volatility from the HPDRV, these are certainly the highest levels that we've seen in basically since March, since the last bank failure. Cooling off a little bit here is not that crazy. Like, it's okay to go sideways for all. It's even okay to go down like a few $1,000 as well. just don't want to see below 32.5 if you do want to remain long-term bullish. That's essentially what I'm saying. 12-hour time frame is probably going to be, yep, way up there, but actually maybe good for another strike to the upside with extremes on volatility. 33.850 going to be the current pivot. 6-hour time frame is going to be showing 34.150 current pivot, again up there in the extremes. 4-hour time frame turning down below 34.6, which actually price action is below right now, and hourly is down below 34.6 as well. So what does that likely equate to? Bit of sideways here, probably tests a little bit of downside. See how far down it comes. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way to 32.5. I'm just saying if it goes below 32.5, that's where things change. Until then, anything between these areas right here is going to be considered a bullish consolidation as far as I'm concerned. So going back into it, I do want to also call out that the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum signature continues on, and it is going to get, hey, that's not right. What? I thought it was closing today. I guess it's not closing today. I could have sworn it was closing today. That's crazy. Well, CME already closed. CME already closed on new highs, by the way, as well, reclaiming a closure at 33.845 officially. Does spot price action do something similar? Probably yes. Probably yes. But yeah, actually, I thought that this one was closing tonight. It's not. I was going to say that's volatility expansion definitely confirmed right there. But I suppose, the current pivot at 29,150 still looking pretty good. Just instead of tonight, it's actually tomorrow night. So for both the weekly and the 5-day, the weekly being CME closing tomorrow, that is going to be a topic of consideration. I think the weekly for CME is a lot more clear here as well. Just really clean chart as volatility expands again from the lowest levels it's ever seen ever. With weekly stochastic also to continuing to point to the upside. I mean, it's hard to hate right there. So, can things pull back? Can things pull back down to even 32.5? Yeah, absolutely. Just don't want to see below there if you do want to be long-term bullish, and still would be looking at, potential continuation towards 38 to 39,000 bucks in the next few weeks. So, yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. This video is probably already longer than it needs to be. And with that said, I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.